Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome back to the Nickname Academy. This is the series where I'm going to be taking every single Pokemon right the way from Bulbasaur all the way through to, I suppose it would be Calyrex now, and give them all nicknames. Yes, indeed. Now, it has been a long old time since we've dipped our toes into the world of nicknames. It's been about 4 months since we ended off Gen 3. This project is very important to me. It's like one of my big Pokemon projects, but it's the kind of thing that as a big project you sort of fall in and out of love with, and I was kind of over Pokemon recordings for a long time. But my friend Hamlet reminded me of my nicknaming stuff the other day, and I thought, you know what, I've got nicknames set, I've got the GFX set, let's do some more nicknames, why the heck not? And what better time to get back to it, because it's the start of a new generation in the Nickname Academy. Yes, we are moving on to generation number 4 now. Very exciting stuff, a lot of nicknames to get through, and I can assure you that some of the most ridiculous nicknames I've ever come up with are in this generation. Very exciting stuff, can't wait to get into it, so without further ado, let's start off with the best starter Pokemon. Bar none! It is the best starter Pokemon, it's little Turtwig. Yes, Turtwig is going to be called CRUST, because in the Dex I believe it says its shell is made of soil. Soil being what makes up Earth below us, and the Earth's outer shell is called the crust. So yes, its shell being made of Earth basically means that Turtwig is going to be called CRUST. Next up we have Grottle, Turtwig evolving into Grottle, and that is going to be KELLAM. KELLAM, for those of you who don't know, is a character from Fire Emblem Awakening. Once again, a game I've not played, but I've seen it played through quite a lot, and KELLAM is something of a fan favourite. He's this massive, great, big chunk of a character who just doesn't take damage. I believe he's also the one who, like, weirdly sneaks up on people, and is barely noticed. And that works for Grottle. You know, Grottle's a big old chunk, doesn't take a lot of damage, and goes unnoticed in, like, draft format and on the ladder and stuff. Grottle is a genuine defensive threat, and people don't see it. So yeah, Grottle is going to be KELLAM. Grottle evolves into the best final form starter Pokemon, bar none. That is going to be Torterra, my favourite starter Pokemon for sure. And Torterra is going to be called Symbiotic. I wanted to make a nickname about sort of the tree on its back, and I used to call it like Nothing on My All Killer No Filler, which is the album that has the song Nothing on My Back by Sum 41, but we're getting into semantics here. We're going to call it Symbiotic very simply because of the symbiotic relationship. It has an ecosystem on its back where other Pokemon live, which is talked about in the Dex. So yeah, they do have this kind of symbiotic relationship, which is why Torterra is going to be called Symbiotic. Next up, Chimchar, the one that most people I think will have chosen whilst playing through Diamond, Pearl, Platinum because of the complete lack of fire Pokemon that generation introduced. Chimchar is going to be called Riding on a Pig because it's a baby monkey, and that is a very, very, very old meme. This is really betraying my age. There was a very old meme song called Baby Monkey, which was just a little video of a little baby monkey riding on a pig. Look it up on YouTube, it'll still be there. It's quite entertaining if you've got nothing else to do. So yeah, Chimchar, riding on a pig. Next we have Chimchar's evolution, Monferno. Remember how I was saying that this generation for me has some of the most ridiculous nicknames? This is one of them. Monferno is going to be called Dilling. Now, what is Dilling? Dilling is a place. It is a place in the country of Sudan. Now, when I was looking for sort of nicknames for this evolutionary line, there's so many very obvious ones that could be chosen. So I was looking into sort of zodiac signs. Obviously you've got the sign of the monkey. What I knew about the Chinese zodiac is that they're based off animals. What I didn't know about the Chinese zodiac is there's another sort of section of it, depending on sort of month or something that you're born in, which says what kind of element it's associated with. So you can have the Chinese zodiac of the fire monkey. And I looked this up, and the dates, well, I'm reading this off my notes, the dates associated with the Chinese zodiac symbol of the fire monkey are the 12th of February 1956 to the 30th of January 1957. Now, what can we do with that for a nickname? Not much. But if you transpose those into geographical notation, you get 1202 1956, 30011957. If you put that in as sort of latitude and longitude into Google to get a geographic location, you get the location of Dilling in Sudan. So that is why Monferno is called Dilling. Like I said, that is one of the most ridiculous ones I've ever come up with, but I'm a big fan. So moving from the ridiculous to the slightly more sublime, we have Infernape, and that's going to be called Orban. Very simple, named after Damon Albarn, who is the man behind the animated band Gorillaz. More specifically, to link with Infernape, because it's more of an ape than a gorilla. Gorillaz do have a song called Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head, and Infernape does have that flame on its head, coming out of its head. So yeah, Infernape's going to be named Orban. Next up we have Piplup, the water evolution starter from Gen 4. Piplup's going to be called Cumberbatch, named after, of course, British actor Benedict Cumberbatch. Reason for this is actually quite a famous thing. Benedict Cumberbatch was the voice of the BBC nature documentary, and part of it was about penguins. And it's a very, very famous clip of this. It was shown on the Graham Norton show, and just as a clip on itself, he couldn't say the word penguin. He kept on saying penguin. And that's always made me think of that. So yeah, I wanted to name a penguin Pokemon after him, so Piplup's going to be called Cumberbatch. Next up we have Prinplup. Prinplup the evolution is going to be called Alfred, named after Alfred Adler. Now, who is Alfred Adler? Well, he was an Austrian doctor who is believed to, I think, first have coined the term superiority complex. You know, that kind of thing where you think you're better than everyone else within a group. Now, in the Dex about Prinplup, it says that within their kind of colony, each one believes it is the most important Prinplup there. So it has a bit of a superiority complex, so we're going to name it after the person who coined that term, Alfred Adler. So Prinplup is going to be Alfred. Final one is going to be Empoleon. Empoleon is going to be called BIRO of CINDER. Bit of a strange one here, but I will go through and explain this. Empoleon is, of course, a penguin. Now, BIRO is a type of pen. And for the other part of the name, Gwyn, we're going to look to Dark Souls. The final boss is, of course, Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. So we've got Pen and Gwyn, which gives us BIRO and Cinder. So Empoleon, the penguin, is a BIRO of Cinder. Very nice. Now we get into the early root birds, and that is going to be Starly. Starly is going to be called Mystery Show. Mystery Show was the name of a 2015 podcast, which was a sort of a minor mystery-solving young person's podcast, hosted by a person called Starly Kine. I have no idea who that is, but her name is Starly, and this Pokemon is Starly, so Starly's going to be Mystery Show. Starly, of course, evolves into Staravia. Staravia is going to be nicknamed Quarian. Quarians are an alien race from the Mass Effect games. Again, games I've never played, but I've watched extensively. And Quarians, they're this alien race who live in this massive community on this kind of flotilla of spaceships with a sort of mothership where they kind of mostly base themselves. And they do this because their immune systems are incredibly weak. They have to wear these biohazard suits for their whole lives. So they live in this tight-knit group on this space flotilla. And in the Dex about Staravia, it says, recognizing their own weakness, they always live in a group. Much like the Quarians from Mass Effect, which is why Staravia is going to be called Quarian. Final evolution in that line is probably, arguably, the best of the offensive early root bird final evolutions. That's going to be Staraptor. Staraptor is going to be called Clever Girl. Very simple one here. That line from Jurassic Park, where the sort of head park ranger is sort of sneaking through. He's got his shotgun out, and he realizes that the raptor has like flanked him and snuck up. He looks over and just goes, "Clever girl," and then it kills him. So yeah, that raptor in particular was the best of them. It was the Star Raptor. So Star Raptor is going to be Clever Girl. Next up, we have Bidoof. Bidoof, haha, what a derpy little one it is. Bidoof is going to be called Auction Loss because we're going to take its name, Bidoof. We'll take the two parts, Bid and Oof If you go to an auction and lose, you're bidding, but you don't get it, which is a big oof. So it's a bid, oof, beat oof, auction loss. Simple done. Similar kind of theory of thinking behind its evolution, BIRO. BIRO is going to be called Honey Jack, which is basically Jack Daniel's Honey, which is a very nice honey flavoured whiskey. Jack Daniel's, very famous whiskey, and they have Honey Jack, which is it's basically whiskey with honey. Now, a lot of spirits are doing this. You have honey whiskies, you have honey rums, all this kind of stuff. It just adds a nice sweet flavour into the spirit. But Honey Jack, basically you get honey from bees, and Jack Daniel's is matured in a barrel, so it would be a bee barrel. Bee barrel, Honey Jack. Done. Nice. After that, we have Kricketot. Kricketot is going to be called Webber, not because of sticky webs, but because of Andrew Lloyd Webber, very famous composer of plays and music. He, along with Tim Rice, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, wrote a musical called Cricket for the Queen's 60th birthday. I'm not really sure why she wanted a musical based around cricket. I've never seen it. I like cricket, but I don't think I'd be interested in a musical based on it. But yes, it's a musical called Cricket. It's written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Kricketot has cricket in the name. It's difficult to think of one for Kricketot. It's a bit of a nondescript Pokemon, so I just went with a very simple one. Go with cricket. Don't make it based off cricket. So yeah, we'll go with Webber after Andrew Lloyd Webber for Kricketot. Slightly easier, similar kind of sporting theme with music is Cricketune. Cricketune is going to be called Soul Limbo. Now, Soul Limbo is the name of the theme song for BBC Test Match. So when cricket is on TV, those big long 5-day international games, they have the theme song for that is called Soul Limbo. It's actually a relatively well-known tune. I'm sure if you put it into YouTube and listen to it, many of you might recognise it. But yes, it is basically the cricket tune. So Cricketune is going to be called Soul Limbo. Very nice. Let's scroll on down to another early root Pokemon that many people have had on their early sort of days of Gen 4 teams. It's going to be Shinx. Shinx is going to be nicknamed Sting, named after the sword Sting from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You know, the one that Bilbo had and then bequeathed to Frodo, and he's like, it glows blue when orcs are close, and it's times like that, my lad, when you have to be extra careful. And then in the movie he went all when he wasn't allowed the ring back. Anyway, I digress. Sting glows blue when orcs are close, and in the Dex talking about Shinx, it says it glows when it's in trouble, much like Sting does for its owner. So yeah, Shinx is going to be called Sting. Shinx, of course, evolves into Luxio. Luxio is going to be named Yoruichi. Yoruichi is a character from the anime and manga Bleach. One of my favourite animes, Bleach. Absolutely love it. You know, people flying around with swords with powers. What's not to love? But yes, Yoruichi is this this woman who can transform into a cat. In fact, early on, we only see her as a cat and didn't know she was a human until much later. But she has the power to be a cat, and also within that she has this power where her claws and fists do like electric damage. And in the Dex, it does mention this about Luxio's claws. You know, it can channel electricity through its claws, very similar to Yoruichi from Bleach. Hence, Luxio is going to be named Yoruichi. Scrolling back up to my next page, and the final evolution of Luxio is going to be Luxray. Luxray is going to be nicknamed the Slug, which is very, very different to what Luxray is, but there is a reason for this. The Slug was the nickname for something called the Sunbeam 1000 HP. What is that? Well, it was a car. It was a car created to break the land speed record of the time, which I believe it did. It was nicknamed the Slug because of its shape. It was very sort of low to the ground, very aerodynamic, streamlined, and kind of cylindrical. So it was nicknamed the Slug, was the nickname for this car, the Sunbeam. And if we take sun and beam, sun, I believe there's Latin coming towards sun, and light is lux, and a beam is a ray. So lux ray, sun beam. There we go. The nickname for the Sunbeam is the Slug, so the nickname for Luxray is going to be the Slug. The final couple of Pokemon we're going to look at today, starting off with Budew. and Badoo is going to be nicknamed SIMOLEON. Reason behind this, I used to play The Sims a lot. Sims is an all-time old favourite game of mine, and obviously they've got more recent ones, but the OG Sims, there were cheat codes you could put in, and one of the very, very famous ones was the cheat code for getting money. Of course it was, why wouldn't it be? And the cheat code on The Sims for getting money was Rosebud, and Badoo is a Rosebud. So Rosebud would get you money, hence Badoo is going to be nicknamed after the currency of The Sims, SIMOLEON. Final Pokemon on today's list is going to be Roserade. Of course, we skip out Roselia because that was Gen 3. We go from Badoo straight to final form, Roserade, and that's going to be called DIAZ. Very simple reasoning here, named after Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. One of the many great characters on that show. It's a show that many people love. And, you know, she's a pretty badass person. And it is mentioned that she goes on raids, like she goes into places alone, she'll bust down doors, she'll get in there by herself. So yeah, Rosa goes on raids. Roserade, DIAZ, done. And looking at my timing, that is going to wrap things up from this video. So thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. I'm really glad to be back doing these nicknames. Say it's been about 4 months since I made one of these videos, so I thought, why not get back into it? And yeah, why not let me know what the nicknames you would have for these Pokemon are. Put them down in the comment section below. I love reading about all the nicknames that you guys are using. Love hearing what you think of mine, so let me know that in the comment section as well. And remember, every Pokemon deserves a nickname, so make sure you give them one. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on for far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.